So I'm a little guy in a box. I am reacting to this video that is reacting to an AI video, because that's what the internet is now. But there is a reason, because I'm not only criticizing the video that this guy is criticizing, but I do have some criticisms of how this guy criticized it. And also, this dude is like a history guy, whereas I'm more talking about like AI and media in general. So this is a TikTok video, or this is the one in the box here, is a TikTok video that shows, that is AI generated, of some modern looking woman in Pompeii when Mount Vesuvius erupted. So let's take a look.
History video got 7 million views, but I'm going to show you how they got
7 million views. So I guess because I talk a lot about AI videos on YouTube. AI videos on YouTube, as we know, are sponge truths. They don't really have AI images. They're more so, AI videos on YouTube are analysis of TV shows, especially SpongeBob. You know, there's stuff like compilations. Ooh, how many jobs has Peter Griffin had? You know, it's stuff like just sharing a bunch of random data. So that's what I usually cover. This is what AI manifests itself as on YouTube. We don't get a lot of long form YouTube videos that are generated entirely by AI, where the visuals are generated by AI. The visuals in videos like these are usually edited by a real editor. They can't really be done by AI. So that's kind of a difference between that and TikTok. Whereas on something like TikTok, AI generated visuals are more of a problem, because AI generated visuals are easier to do in short form content. You know, you can't really do a 10-minute video where it's all AI generated. You're not going to keep people's attention. Whereas the short form content, it's a little more ripe for that. So you can see it getting 7 million views of just this AI garbage. It's a much bigger problem here. Couple that also with the fact that people who watch short form content, not saying that watching short form content means you're shallow, but people who watch short form content are generally more shallow. And there's also so many more people who watch short form content, and short form content, just by being shorter, more people are able to watch more videos. So 7 million views on a 1-minute TikTok video is not as damaging socially as 7 million views on a long form YouTube video, which I don't think I've ever seen an AI video, like a Sponge Truths or a No Villains Are Safe, get 7 million views. I've seen them get 1 million views, and that's pretty bad, but I'd say that that's about the equivalent.
I'm in Pompeii, 79 AD.
Okay, right off the bat here, before she says anything, the bread on the side is pure AI slop, because...
So he's pointing out stuff like how, I'm not really going to like fully go over every one of these inaccuracies that this history guy understood, but it's just, it gets little things wrong in the background. The bread is wrong. She's supposed to be wrong. It's supposed to be like she's a time traveler. So like that's on purpose. But look, the bread is wrong.
We actually have preserved bread from Pompeii, and it's classically, famously round.
That is Mount Vesuvius. Today is the day. Boom.
Okay, another problem here. Why are there guys in togas on the street? You really wouldn't see formal togas just out and about.
Okay, so he's pointing out that the dress of the people in the background, because AI doesn't really understand context, it put people in togas on the street, when togas in this time period were like people of the upper echelons, so they wouldn't have been regularly on the street wearing those. So you might be thinking, if you were to rebut this being a problem, you might be thinking, well, don't movies have inaccuracies too? This is something that you might be thinking because you think that you're very smart to point that out, because you don't understand nuance. And yes, movies can get things wrong. They can. There's probably never been a movie that has completely 100% accurately portrayed every little element of the background of something. But the thing with movies is that movies at least have some kind of mechanism to try and do that. They at least have some sort of like challenge. You know, there is a, if this were a movie, if you were making a movie about Mount Vesuvius, a movie about a time traveler, if there's a Doctor Who episode about it, you have the Doctor Who episode where the doctor goes back in time to Mount Vesuvius and he feels bad about how he can't save the people because he would change the timeline too much. There are probably things in that episode that you can be like, yeah, that wouldn't be period accurate. But at least with that, there is a challenge to the people who are creating the media to try and make it accurate, to look at the world as it was in that time and portray it in a certain way. Whereas AI doesn't make those decisions. It doesn't think about those things. It just puts together whatever is the most lowest common denominator what it thinks that time period looked like. And this is something that I talk about with AI, is that AI brings out always the worst of humanity. Like, it just shines a magnifying glass on whatever is the worst things about us. And I think that's something that it does here is it takes stuff that are common historical inaccuracies. Like, for example, if you saw a movie where there was people in togas on a regular street corner, even if it was historically inaccurate, you wouldn't really clock it. But AI will like always make those mistakes, whereas movies will like only sometimes make those mistakes. And also, there is no mechanism that would ever be able to make AI like be accurate. Like, the amount of things that it would have to account for to always have something be historically accurate, you're just going to have like a bunch of stuff that's going to lean even further in to us having even less of an understanding of how things actually looked in reality.
This place is actually a really incredible place to live. Like, they have running water, hot food on every corner, public baths, theaters, 20,000 people living here, and it is genuinely one of the most advanced cities in the world right now.
It wasn't. Pompeii was just like kind of a modest commercial town.
So why did it do that then? Why did it say, so this is an element of sensationalism. Like, AI will always try to be sensationalist. It will always try to, and it also says things just to say things. So the reason that the girl in it said that stuff about like how it was such an advanced city is that in general, there are like things about big cities of that time period that were impressive. If you look at things like, you know, aqueducts in Rome was like that's kind of the big one that they teach you in school. Oh, in Rome, they made aqueducts all these thousands of years ago, and roads and all this sort of stuff. And it's kind of just like understanding the AI is understanding that that is something that is commonly discussed about the past. And it's just applying it to Pompeii, which, as he's saying, was just a modest commercial town. It's just applying it to Pompeii because it's like, yeah, like Pompeii, that's like Rome, right? You know, when I think that there is a value in us not thinking that everything in the past was just like one thing, you know, like knowing these differences is important. And AI makes us not know those differences.
Oh my. So what you're seeing right now is called a Planian eruption. It is shooting ash and rock 20 miles into the sky. The ash is the thing.
So videos like this are kind of fun, but they get the...
Okay, so I don't get why this dude would say that. I think, you know what's funny? Like, I do want to talk about like the, you know, like there's a lot to say about the whole like, you know, AI history videos and like why that's like bad. What made me want to cover this video is actually because of this dude. Why would you, after going over all of this, after going over these inaccuracies, after going over how like this is such a, like it's sensationalizing, showing this like fake volcano eruption and all this sort of stuff, why would you end all of that with this?
Like this are kind of fun, but they get...
Kind of fun. No, they're not fun. They're dumb, and you shouldn't watch them. They're dumb. They make you dumb. They provide no value, and they shouldn't exist. Why does this dude not say that? How is that not the reaction? And I think really what it is that there is this wishy-washiness to like not wanting to, I guess, offend people. I don't really get it. I think what it is it's an appeal. It's an appeal to a nuance that we don't need to appeal to. I got this one comment actually that I think is very appropriate to this. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, so I got this one comment, and this person was eventually like, they kind of understood what I was going for. So they did eventually kind of come around, but I think that this kind of makes me think of, I think comments like these, what I'm about to go over, I think that they kind of almost scare this guy into some kind of like pre-compliance. This was on my AI bros are babies. So this is when I talked about how basically the video was about how pro AI people like don't have real arguments. So they will cling to stuff to try and obfuscate having an actual argument because they can't actually defend their positions. Common thing that people who are wrong do. And this person just left a comment where they said, just in general, they said, honestly, I would be interested in why you think that AI is so evil. but you too arrogant for me to have desire in learning something about this. You always say learn nuance, but in your language there is no nuance for AI. Demonstrably false. I go over so many nuances of AI. What this person is saying when they say there is no nuance, what they mean is I'm saying no positive things. But that's not what nuance is. I explain that in a second. Somehow you know that AI will never get better. I never said that AI won't get better. I said that there are things that people think that AI will eventually be able to do that it won't. Like it won't be able to like actually like do an acting performance. Like there are things that it won't be able to do when it comes to like writing that people think it's going to do. Like people who say like, oh, AI is going to like recreate Game of Thrones season 8 and make it better. It's like, no, it's not. It can't understand the things that are going to do that. And I do know that for a fact. And there's a way that I like prove it. If you look at large numbers and the way that human brains work and the way that our perspectives work, there are just things that AI as we know it, as LLMs exist, unless we actually created a living thing, which would not be the thing that I'm arguing about, it would never make the things that people expect it to make. It will never happen. But you don't even use AI. I mean, I don't use AI consistently, but I know how it works. I know how it works really well, actually. Better than the average person. I mean, it's my job, or a part of my job, that I know how it works. Like, I actually know how AI works better than most people, I would say. Nor have qualifications for predicting future technological advances. I don't, that's just a nothing statement. Nor have, like, what qualifications? Like, what does that mean? Like, I need a degree in tech or whatever. I mean, I have a master's degree in creative writing. So if we want to talk about qualifications, I think I can speak on writing if you want, and that's not why I say you shouldn't listen to me just because I have a degree. But like, if you want to talk about qualifications, that would be how I would know that AI can't write certain things. I give kind of a short reply, but I said, my position is nuanced, though. I went over all the nuanced points, and the evidence presented to me said that AI is evil. Nuance doesn't mean saying, oh, well, like something could be good, something could be bad. You could have a nuanced opinion on something, and that opinion could be this thing should be banned, it should not exist. So, like, my opinion on AI is nuanced. It's just that I used a lot of nuance to come to a very strong conclusion. In fact, I think that my position is a lot more nuanced than this guy's, because I think that the only reason that this guy is saying, oh, videos like this are fun, is because he has not gone over all of the nuance that would lead him to videos like this should not exist, they should be banned. And he's using the fear of getting comments like this one are preventing him from saying more, I think. It kind of just went on, but the one thing that I said that I think is important is I said, I think the problem with your criticism, what that person was saying, is that it's too nice. I'm not here to be nice to the side that wants to destroy the arts and harm the world, and I'm not looking to fence it. I put a lot of work into understanding this issue from all sides, and now that I've been able to make a concrete nuanced statement, I'm not going to shy away from it. I think him saying this is kind of fun, it's almost peer pressure, because I don't think that this guy thinks that this video is fun. I really don't. Like someone who cares so much about like history that he like knows what the bread would look like, I don't think he's going to actually think that this is kind of fun. I think that he almost is feeling like when you're like in a social group and like they would be talking about like an AI video, and you feel like you can't really criticize it even though you hate AI. I actually had a social situation where someone said to me, was like, oh, have you seen like the AI animals? And I was like, I hate AI. I will say that to people. And maybe that's bad. Like, I understand not doing that because it could make like social situations awkward. And of course, it depends on who you're talking to, but I never shy away from saying I hate AI in social situations if it comes up. I don't like wear it on a t-shirt. So I think that that's kind of what this is. And that has social consequences. So this whole thing about saying that this is kind of fun, this is what I would call a social deterrent. There is a social deterrent against saying, I think generative AI should be illegal. There is something where people who should be saying that feel like they can't because it's so normalized that this thing is out there. It's so normalized that people think it's kind of fun that when you're saying, oh, I think generative AI should be illegal, you can get comments that will like kind of push back at you. And if you're not the kind of person who knows how to argue that from a legal standpoint, you might want to just retreat and submissively say, videos like this are kind of fun, but here's the problem. And I think that that is kind of what has happened. So I think it really is the responsibility of creators who criticize AI to say that generative AI should be illegal. I do think that. I think that it is important for people to say, because that is what you mean. Like, why would you, like, what is the actual, you can't, if there is a problem with this, if there is an issue with the existence of this video that has 7 million views, what course of action to make videos like that not exist can you take that isn't just making generative AI illegal? I really don't know. What can you meaningfully do? It's either you have things that generate videos and they make this and this gets 7 million views, or you don't have things that generate videos. There's no world where you can just go, they're kind of fun, but they have problems. That is not nuance. That is the opposite of nuance.
It's not really a history video. It just looks like a history video.
Yeah, and that's the problem. Is that you have things, and think about it, for like all of the people who watched this, like who would get recommended this video, this AI history video? It would have to be someone who is at least a little interested in history in some way, right? Like, I don't think that the people who get AI Fruit Love Island would also get the AI history video. I'm sure that there are some people who would get this video because of the way that it is and because it's like, ooh, sensationalist. You know, there are people who are, for lack of a better term, less media literate who would be more likely to get this video because of their lack of media literacy. I think that that's very possible. I do think that a lot of people who would be recommended this video would be people who would get another sort of history video instead if they didn't. I really do think that, because that's how algorithms work. It's going to see, oh, you liked Pompeii drama or some sort of like history thing, and it'll pop this stuff up. And for every minute that the 7 million people watch this, they weren't watching something else. Think about like a not AI version of this. It would probably be maybe slightly less engaging, you know, like it would have to have a lot of production value. You know, you would have to go to a set, you'd have to go film and all that sort of stuff. But I think that the existence of this AI content that goes fast, that just does shallow little things, that prioritizes things like big explosions, I think that this also trains our minds to respond to this stuff. Whereas like learning to, if you're interested in history, if you're interested in actually properly learning about stuff, learning to put your mind in a place where you can focus on stuff like that, that isn't as immediately in your face, it does take practice. It takes constantly viewing stuff that is a little more substantive, that is a little less in your face, all this stuff going on. It takes practice for that. And the more content like this that's allowed to be out there, and look, you could make probably garbage like this without AI, but AI, let's be real, how much more of it is out there and how much less of a barrier to entry there is because of it. It's just not comparable. And to kind of take it back to the whole thing of what this guy didn't say, of what he should have said, which is videos like this should be banned, they should be illegal, is that they should be illegal because they make the world worse and they do not make the world better. And I think that's enough. I think that that's enough. And I think that in the way that they make the world worse is so much more severe than certain things that might also be net negatives that are a little more benign, that I think that banning it is really the only proper option. And I don't see how you can do a whole video where you criticize what's wrong with it, you criticize everything else, but all you say is, it's not a history video, it just looks like a history video. Okay, well, what should we do about it? What's the broader prescriptive statement that should just choose not to watch it yourself? That's not going to stop it from getting 7 million views. It's not really enough. It could help. And that could also be a part of it. If you're saying videos like this should be banned, well, you're also telling people to choose not to watch it. But why can't you do both? Why is it just a personal choice issue? Why can't it be a broader social issue? Why can't it be a political issue? That's what I thought about with this AI Pompeii video. The only good thing I can think of for AI is shitposts and memes, but that's more of guilty pleasure. You could not be more wrong, actually. To flood, like, shitposts and memes are a part of culture. They're a part of human culture. They're a part of human communication. AI being used for it suppresses the human element of those things. Could not disagree more. It is as much of a net negative for them to be used for memes as it is for them to be used in movies and TV. As bad, not even close. So you should be guilty about that pleasure.